Hello, welcome to a presentation on From Windows to Linux. I'm your host, Gabriel Smith, and I'll give you an overview of some basic Linux commands that will get you started. The scope of this presentation is to provide new users with information to get them started using Linux. This presentation is not designed for advanced Linux users or people who have experienced Linux before. Those people will find this presentation boring at best. We have a few objectives. We want to figure out where we can get a copy of Linux. We want to figure out what the run levels of Linux is. We want to look at or take a brief look at the Linux directory structure. We want to figure out how we can gather basic hardware information on Linux. We want to figure out how to stop renegade processes or processes that have hogged up too much resources on Linux. And we also want to take a quick look at Linux services. Where can you get a copy of Linux? There's three sources that I recommend, or there's three sources that I basically use. There is Red Hat, www.redhat.com. There's CentOS, www.centos.org, and there's the Fedora Project.org. Now, just to give you a brief history, is that Red Hat is one of the most popular distributions. It would be used for someone who wants to pay for support. If you don't want to pay for support, you could try Fedora, which is kind of a developer version of the Red Hat support. The difference is that the people who would like to develop applications on Red Hat, they would basically try to develop them on Fedora first, and if the Red Hat community likes it, they push it out to the next Red Hat distribution. Now, another basic version of Linux is CentOS, and CentOS is a really good distribution. It's pretty close to what you would see in Red Hat, except it's free, and it would be free of probably bugs that you would probably find in the Fedora project. Many of you may remember the boot screen in Windows. Basically, you notice that you have many different boot options in this advanced boot menu. Safe mode with networking, and safe mode with the command prompt. Now, Linux actually has a similar run levels or boot options, if you will. They're called run levels, and 0 basically means that you intend to turn the system off. Run level 1 is single user mode. You want to use this mode in the event that you want to perform maintenance. In Red Hat, run level 2 is custom. Run level 3 in Red Hat is multi-user from the console only. Run level 4 is user defined or custom as well. And run level 5 is pretty much what you would expect your machine to be in if you don't have any problems. It's multi-user mode, and you also have networking and as well as the graphical user interfaces. And number 6 run level is a reboot. If you want to figure out what run level you're in, you basically just type who -r, and you will be able to see. As you can see, my machine is currently in run level 5. If you want to change the default run levels your machine boot into, you want to use a tool which is not in this presentation or not covered in this presentation. It's called the etc init tab. If you want to change your run level on the fly, you would type init and then the run level. So example, if you wanted to bring it to single user mode, you would type init 1. Okay, so the directory structure, just as in Windows, you have directory structure, you also have it in Unix. Now, this is a generic directory structure that we're going to cover. You'll find that the structure may differ from flavor to flavor. This directory structure that we're presenting now is generic, and it should be consistent across all Linux distribution, or most Linux distribution. So under the root directory or the root tree, you'll find that there is a home directory. You'll find your user directories and files in under home. You also have the etc directory. You'll find many of your configuration files under etc. You'll also have USR directory. There's a typo here. There should be no E, but USR stands for Unix System Resources. You'll find more system files and things of that nature in this directory. You have the var directory, which you'll find most of your log files. The bin directory, you'll find most of your binary files. And the sbin, you'll find a lot of binary files for these applications. With more static information, where bin would probably be more dynamic information. And this just repeats everything that I've just said. Okay, so now if you want to find what directory that you're currently in, you want to try pwd, present home directory, present working directory, and you can see right now that I'm in the home infinity directory, which is my user ID at this time. And if you want to figure out what's in that directory, you can try typing the ls command. So an ls command basically shows us all the directories within the home infinity directory. If you want to switch to a directory, you want to use the cd command, which stands for change directory. So I'm currently in the home infinity directory. I did a ls, and I can see all the directory and files that are there. I want to cd or change directory to documents, and I've done that. Now it shows that when I type a pwd, it shows that I'm in home infinity documents. Coincidentally, I can also see from the command prompt that the root user is logged into localhost and is currently in the documents directory. I can do an ls again, and I can see all the files and directories that I have under the documents directory. Many of you may remember this screen. This is the Windows Device Manager. Linux has multiple ways of getting such information. One way is to use the dmessage command. Dmessage, I'm using pipe and more so that I can slowly scroll through the information so that it doesn't flood my screen. Here's an output of the dmessage command, and you should expect to see hardware information. You can also use the demi decode pipe more to get more hardware information, or the same hardware information, depends on what you're looking for. And here is an example of that. I've typed demi decode pipe more, and I'm able to see some BIOS information, so on and so forth. Now you could direct the output to a file. You would just type the command demi decode _ file, and the same for dmessage. I've done that here, and the purpose of doing this is that you plan to maybe go through the data later, or you want to manipulate the data later. So that's the reason you want to put it in the file. So I've done it here, dmessage _ and I've named the file info file 1 and info file 2. It looks like I made a mistake. I meant to do dmessage as well as dmi decode. At any rate, moving on. Another way to get hardware information is to look at the files and folders that are currently on your system. These hardware files would be under the dev directory for devices, and I've actually switched to that directory, and I can see bus information, CD-ROM information, console, CPU. You can expect to find drivers, block, and character devices in these directories. Some of you may remember this screen, the Windows Task Manager. This is the screen that you would go to if you want to kill a process. Well, Linux has something similar. Basically, two ways that you can get this information is by using the top command and the ps-ef command. In the top command, you get summary information at the top. You get memory usage, swap usage, CPU cycles, load averages, the amount of users logged on, the zombies that are in the system. Zombies are dead processes. In the lower part of the screen, you can see the process ID. You can see the CPU utilization percentage, the memory utilization percentage, as well as the actual process. You can get similar information in the ps-ef command. Here you get the name of the process, the parent process ID number, the process ID number, and the user ID number. The username number, or UID. To kill a process, it's pretty simple. If you know the process ID, you simply type kill and then the process ID. If you know the name, you type pkill and the process ID. Some of you may remember this screen. This is the service screen, and it's used basically to manipulate the Windows services. Linux, as you can imagine, has something similar. If you want to see what services are running on your system, you basically type service -- all, and again, I've used the pipe more so that I can slowly scroll through the data that's coming onto my screen. Here is an example of that. If you want to restart, stop a service, the syntax is very simple and it's similar. For example, if we wanted to do any of those to the IP tables, we would type service IP tables, restart or stop, start or stop. In this output, you can see that I've typed service HTTPD status, and it shows me that it is running. And then I've typed it service HTTPD again, and I've typed restart, and you can see that it's restarting. I've typed service HTTPD stop, and it stopped it. And then I started again. And as you can see, it's giving me information about the services that you would probably find in var log messages. Okay, that's it. This is the conclusion of this tutorial. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, you can reach me at busy386@gmail.com. Thank you for your time.